Good evening, class. Sharon Tiger here again. Before I get started, I want to apologize for the glare within my glasses. I do have to wear them to see, so please bear with me. My research paper was on communication within an organization, and that's what I want to talk about here with you guys this evening. More and more employees are starting to realize how important communication is within an organization. It's very important because a lot of their work is based around teamwork, and it also they cannot function within a group without communication. So more and more people are starting to realize how important communication is within an organization. Within my research, I did find many formal communication channels: upward communication, downward, horizontal, and external communications. And those are the four that I discussed more in detail within my paper. But I do find it important that if we talk about communication within an organization, that we talk very briefly about leadership. Communication is a core leadership function, and you need to think clearly, express your ideas, and share information with a multitude of audiences. It's important that a leader within an organization is able to do those functions. Leaders should communicate relentlessly, meaning that they should communicate information, thoughts, and ideas clearly and frequently to their team. That is very important that communication line stays open amongst all departments and all staff. And leaders should actually do 80% of the listening and 20% of the talking. It's important that they know that their staff has a voice and that they need to be able to use that voice within the organization. There is a communication system, and I wanted to discuss with you guys the communication forms, styles, and the levels within an organization, or just communication in general. Communication forms is internal and external. We have communication levels, which is organizational, directing activities, the hierarchy, and groups, which is communication between more than one person, or interpersonal, which is communication between two people. We also have communication directions, which is what my paper is about, which is upward, downward, horizontal, and external communication. And then you have communication networks, which is formal and informal communication. So again, there are so many styles and forms and levels of communication that we could really go on and on talking about communication. But for the sake of my research paper, I did just focus on the direction of communications. The first one that I wanted to touch on was the downward communication, which is communication that is transmitted from higher to lower levels, basically from the CEO to the secretary, and then from the secretary to the lower level staff. Where I work, in a prison, there are many departments, and the information is passed from the warden to his secretary, and then the secretary sends out an email, and that's how we get information. We also get information from different committee members, their president. Emails are sent down. So that is ideally how downward communication works. An organization, I don't think, can function without downward communication. Just because that information needs to be passed down so that everybody is on the same page. Ideas and thoughts are passed down, giving staff the chance to respond or maybe add an input. The general purposes of downward communication involve implementation of goals and strategies, just making your team aware of future goals and objectives. The next general purpose is procedures and practices. It just lets your staff know what's coming, any changes to the new policies and procedures, so that we're all on the same page with those. But it also allows for feedback. Downward communication allows managers and higher level leaders to give feedback to those, which increases the motivation, which we know is always a good thing. The downward flow of communication provides a channel for directives, instructions, and information to organizational members. And upward communication is from lower level staff to higher management and the leaders. Upward communication, it basically allows those staff with the ego to get their voices out and to be heard. And it allows information on the working table to be sent up so that the organization knows what's going on. The information communicated within the upward communication is problems and exceptions. If there's problems, exceptions to the routine performance, upper management will need to know that. There's performance reports. These messages includes periodic reports that inform the leader how individual organization members and departments are performing. Grievances and disputes. I know within the organization where I work, the prison, staff can send out a grievance if they feel like something was not right or not fair. Any complaints and conflicts, those are sent up to upper management. And also any kind of income, financial and accounting information is sent upward. So again, the upward and the downward communication just really opens that flow of communication from upper staff to lower staff. Downward communication being from higher level all the way down to lower level, and upward communication just being the opposite. Both are really great for an organization, and again, I think an organization needs both of those to pretty much function. Horizontal communication, it's basically for coordination. It ties everything together, activities across departments in a single organization or within a division of organizations. Horizontal communication flows exist to enhance the coordination. Many organizations play on horizontal communication through task forces, committees, and liaison personnel. Again, I'll use the prison as an example. We have several committees there. I'm the secretary of our committee, the Women in Corrections, and it's just another way for us to kind of put out information, uplift staff, and just motivate each other. External communication flows between employees inside the organization and with a variety of stakeholders outside of the organization. Most places will use HR or public relations department to do most of this external work. The four that I just mentioned, the upward communication, the downward communication, horizontal, and external, I think are so vital for an organization to function and succeed and move forward. But we all know there are disadvantages to everything. And the disadvantages to downward communication is distortion. the communication can get lost between departments that by the time it does hit the lower level staff, it's so distorted that it may not be the right message. Also, it's bad for feedback. By the time it gets to the lower level staff, the feedback may not be as accepted, or it could be late. Also, it's just not motivating. Again, because of the distortion and how slow the communication or the message may travel, it just may not be motivating, or it just may not hit in time. The disadvantage to an upward communication is changes of information. Employees may change their accurate information when they're sending information to higher management. That information may change by the time it gets there. The one that I have here is bypassing. I see this a lot at the prison, and that's why I wanted to kind of briefly touch point on this one. A disadvantage of upward communication is bypassing. I just want to make that clear. That does happen a lot. I see it quite frequently. Staff will bypass the chain of command and just go straight to the top with any problems, comments, or concerns. That can be a problem. The chain of command is there for a reason, and it needs to be utilized within an organization, and that needs to be clear on how to use that within an organization. I wanted to wrap this video up by saying that all levels of communication are very important, and it's vital that everybody knows how to utilize the communication properly. And I hope that after you have listened to my video, that you have gained a better understanding of what the upward, downward, horizontal, and external communication, how that helps in organization. And maybe when you are in an organization, you can kind of pinpoint those out and be more aware of how to use those channels. Again, this is Sharon Tiger, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Everybody have a great evening, and God bless.